This episode is brought to you by Google Gemini. With the Gemini app, you can talk live and have a real-time conversation with an AI assistant. It's great for all kinds of things, like if you want to practice for an upcoming interview, ask for advice on things to do in a new city, or brainstorm creative ideas. And by the way, this script was actually read by Gemini. Download the Gemini app for iOS and Android today. Must be 18 plus to use Gemini Live.
Electricast.
Nothing much seems to happen in the small town of Anarene, Texas, but there is much more to this town than first meets the eye. The magical movie experience of The Last Picture Show awaits. Hello, I'm Ethan Jonakis, founder of the Cinematic Revelations movie review and interview blog, and welcome to my Cinematic Revelations podcast. This is a podcast for those seeking more depth out of their cinematic experience, to separate the filmic wheat from the chaff, and to bring notice to those films which deserve reappraisal. Today I will be discussing Peter Bogdanovich's 1971 film, The Last Picture Show, starring Timothy Bottoms, Jeff Bridges, and Ellen Burstyn. The Last Picture Show is about life in the small Texas town of Anarene over the course of 1951 to 1952, culminating in the closure of the town's only cinema. Peter Bogdanovich was a director with 17 movies to his credit, making his debut in 1968. His motion pictures cover a wide range of territory, from nostalgic recollections of Americana, many times with filmic themes, dramas, comedies, and romantic comedies, to more escapist fare. His first film, Targets, 1968, was a drama about a horror movie actor at a drive-in cinema making contact with a psychotic Vietnam veteran on a killing spree. It was an auspicious first film for Mr. Bogdanovich, with moments of sheer terror and violence blended with suspense. Next came the science fiction Voyage to the Planet of Prehistoric Women, 1968, which was largely devoted to female objectification. The 1970s was a decade of artistic expansion for Mr. Bogdanovich, with many memorable films directed by him in this era. What's Up, Doc, 1972, was a high-grossing comedy about a farcical situation. 4 overnight bags cause havoc when they are mixed up, leading to many wacky set pieces. Notable for the teaming of Ryan O'Neal and Barbra Streisand, and as an homage to the comedies of the 1930s, it was very popular with audiences. Paper Moon, 1973, was another film that made money, this time charting the relationship between a man and a young girl during the Depression. Notable as the first time Mr. Bogdanovich directed real-life father and daughter Ryan O'Neal and Tatum O'Neal, it was a pleasant production with nice period touches. The director's 1970s movies after Paper Moon were less successful at the box office, but still interesting films. Daisy Miller, 1974, was a period drama about the eponymous title character who charms and mystifies her admirer, Frederick Winterbourne. Another of Mr. Bogdanovich's pieces set in another age, it starred Cybill Shepherd in the lead role, with Cloris Leachman, Eileen Brennan, and Mildred Natwick in support. A different take on the 1930s musicals and lushly produced At Long Last Love, 1975, was, unfortunately, a critically derided film that again featured Cybill Shepherd with Burt Reynolds and Madeline Kahn. Nickelodeon, 1976, marked one of the last of Mr. Bogdanovich's films with a period background, this time a story of 2 men, Ryan O'Neal and Burt Reynolds, who become involved in the silent film business. The director's final film of the 1970s, St. Jack, 1979, was a drama about a shady man who seeks to establish a bordello, with the Vietnam War offering an opportunity to do this. One of Mr. Bogdanovich's more adult films in orientation, it nevertheless lost money at the box office. The 1980s and beyond allowed the director to exercise his creative muscles in varied productions. They All Laughed, 1981, was a change of pace for Mr. Bogdanovich, a comedy about intrigue surrounding a team of private investigators. Mask, 1985, was a financially successful drama about a young man with a facial deformity and his determined mother who does her best to make a life for him. Starring Cher as the mother and Eric Stoltz as her son, it struck a chord with audiences and was a fine return to form for the director. Illegally Yours, 1988, was a comedy about a young man summoned for jury service, but trying his very best to prove his true love innocent and becoming involved in a complicated chain of events. Texasville, 1990, was the sequel to The Last Picture Show, reuniting many of the characters from the first film and introducing new ones to the audience. Next came Noises Off, 1992, a comedy about a theatrical group and their zany, haphazard antics, featuring an illustrious cast including Carol Burnett, Michael Caine and many others. It was a return to comedy for the director. Comedy, though, in a less overt form, came in The Thing Called Love, 1993, with a young cast including River Phoenix, Samantha Mathis, Dermot Mulroney and Sandra Bullock. It was an entertaining story about the lives and loves of several aspirants to the country music scene. The Cat's Meow, 2001, was a return to period pieces, this time charting the mysterious death of producer Thomas Ince aboard William Randolph Hearst's yacht in 1924. Mr. Bogdanovich's final film is 2011's She's Funny That Way, a comedy about the goings-on surrounding a playwright, his wife, and several others that develops into a love triangle of sorts. His third motion picture, The Last Picture Show, is widely regarded as Peter Bogdanovich's best film, and rightfully so. The adaptation of Larry McMurtry's novel has been given a vigorous, polished treatment by Mr. Bogdanovich, retaining the best qualities of the book and emphasizing these to great effect in the film version. He has made each and every character, scene, and story element thoroughly memorable, largely doing away with character traits from the novel which would have hampered the film on screen. Examples such as making Sonny a more sympathetic, less promiscuous protagonist than the book offered, and also giving Dwayne a more fully rounded treatment, work exceedingly well in the screen version of The Last Picture Show. While the film has a concentration of sexual content, it is depicted in a downcast manner, differing from the novel somewhat. The novel contained aimless sexuality that did nothing for the characters concerned. The film version toned this down, giving the film both a realistic and tragic feel in retrospect. Sex is a means to an end that only provides the characters with angst, something they are attempting to escape through it, but it reaps them no discernible benefit. Other features of The Last Picture Show stand out in comparison to Mr. Bogdanovich's other movies. The Last Picture Show also showcases the director's ease with films set in a past age, something also demonstrated in Paper Moon, Daisy Miller, The Cat's Meow, Nickelodeon, and At Long Last Love. The Last Picture Show, though, is just so convincing visually in every way that it is easy to become caught up in it and believe that it may have been a documentary from 1951 Texas. The sense of honesty, sympathy for its milieu and characters just shine on the screen with such veracity that make it a convincing, emotionally rewarding viewing experience. It is akin to Paper Moon, not only because both films were shot in black and white, but the character relationships are delineated in an equally vibrant manner. The difference is that in The Last Picture Show, this is compounded through its multi-character narrative, and one receives a larger number of fascinating viewpoints. One of the best films ever made, and a credit to the director and his team from the movie. The Last Picture Show is a wonderful, thoughtful cinematic experience. The Last Picture Show is one movie where the performances are all excellent, befitting the film's reputation as a classic. In the lead role of Sonny Crawford, Timothy Bottoms excels as the quiet yet strong, pensive young man with more scruples than most. Jeff Bridges is equally fine as the brash Dwayne Jackson, Sonny's best friend and polar opposite. The film employs his unabashed charm to advantage, but adding a darker side, which Mr. Bridges accomplishes well, giving his Dwayne great depth. Cybill Shepherd is also striking as J.C. Farrow, the object of both Sonny and Dwayne and others' desires. What could have been a shallow ingenue is brought to life by Miss Shepherd, giving her both a dramatic edge, but also a comic side that provides the character with a nerviness that works. Ellen Burstyn is showcased in the film in one of her best parts as Lois Farrow, the restless mother of J.C. It was a revealing role, as Miss Burstyn showed her character as the vulnerable, wistful woman she really was, played with the initial displays of toughness and bravado. Cloris Leachman is wonderful as Ruth Popper, a woman of many emotional layers. Ruth's climactic scene with Sonny covers a wide spectrum of feelings, from anger, sympathy, understanding to remorse, and is her shining hour in the film. Several other performances are worthy of analysis here, as they also contribute much to the film. Ben Johnson's Sam the Lion is another well-drawn, authentic depiction of a man who has seen a lot in his life and will not tolerate certain things anymore. Mr. Johnson's Sam is alternately tough, persistent, forgiving and patient, his hard stare filled with meaning. Eileen Brennan is utterly excellent as the world-weary Genevieve, who, apart from Sam the Lion, is one of the only people in town whose head is attached properly, but with a heart of gold. Just listening to Genevieve's dialogue is a delight, so purely realistic but also genuinely touching. As Abilene, Clu Gallagher cut a figure of inviting danger in the film. As with all the performers in the movie, his face many times does all the talking without an abundance of dialogue. An actor for whom this greatly applies is Sam Bottoms as Billy, Sam's ward. Without uttering a word, Mr. Bottoms makes one feel for Billy, especially during the scenes after his cruel encounter with a prostitute. The final acting of note in the Last Picture Show was by Gary Brockett as the tempting, intriguing Bobby Sheen. Mr. Brockett mainly lets his eyes, smile and soothing voice do all the talking as the attractive Bobby, someone adept at both winning and breaking hearts in equal measure. The Last Picture Show is a film which has a substantial amount of diegetic music from the 1950s, which enhances the movie as a whole. It is used to comment on the action taking place in a natural way, obviating the need for background musical accompaniment. Scenes such as Sonny in the car, listening to the radio, the music in the pool hall, the soft, romantic melodies playing in JC's bedroom, all provide valuable information about the characters in a subtle, pleasant, easygoing manner. More ironic uses of music are especially evident at the start of the pool party sequence, the record player blaring as JC and Lester enter. As with other 1970s movies, there is the playing of a tune at both the beginning and end of the film. In this case it is Hank Williams's "Why Don't You Love Me Like You Used to Do." While at the film's start it is part of the diegesis, playing on his car radio. At the end it is played over the final credits in a non-diegetic manner. There is a contrast inherent between its use at these parts, showing the audience what they have learned from the film and how expectations may have changed from initial viewings of the movie to what they gleaned from when it ended. In terms of mise-en-scène, the film begins with a black screen containing a font with the film's title in white, and the final credits are of the actors, with the actors followed by black screens with the names of personnel working on the movie. This bare approach works as the film both begins and ends in a parallel fashion, without glossiness. This is indicative of the movie as a whole, with cinematographer Robert Surtees capturing the town and its locations without making them glamorous, but instead highlighting their stark, harsh, and sometimes unforgiving flatness. Is the movie suitable for young audiences? No, as there is infrequent coarse language, male nudity, female nudity, adult themes, and medium-level violence. I am very happy to award The Last Picture Show an A grade, being that it is a flawless movie. I hope that you have enjoyed my journey into the world of The Last Picture Show. In the next podcast, I will be looking at Jack Nicholson's daring 1971 movie Drive, He Said, with a great cast including Michael Margotta, Bruce Dern and June Fairchild. You've been listening to the Cinematic Revelations podcast. I'm your host and producer, Ethan Janakis. If you like what you heard, please leave us a good review and subscribe wherever you listen. For more, be sure to visit my blog at cinematicrevelations.blogspot.com. Until next time, stay well, stay safe. Meantime, happy cinematic travels.